Welcome everybody, my name is Mohsin, I'm from a company called ENDRIME, and I'm here joined by some of the collaborators of the TENCEL BAST RECAST project. I'll just introduce everyone before the video begins. We've got Carme from Jeanologia, we've got Michael Kininmonth from Lenzing, the TENCEL Denim Ltd, and we've got Zeeshan from NTL, let's talk about Naveena. We're going to play a short video, it's about a minute and a half long, and then we'll begin our presentation. Hope it works. This was an amazing collaboration. Now, the TENCEL and Michael can tell us a little bit about it, but every year they do really amazing projects with lots of different creative people, about 2 to 3 projects every year, probably more. And I was very lucky enough to do a collection together with Carme and Michael about 2 years ago. We wanted to do a follow-up collection, didn't we? So we carried on the actual conversation, and it was such an inspiring project because I got to first of all design the fabrics together with Zeeshan from NDL, and then we designed it in such a way that we made sure each of the fabrics were period correct. Because there's a kind of a romanticized story that the very first early denim garments would have most likely been made out of a hemp canvas. It's not been proven, but we kind of romanticize that it might be. So Michael told me, wouldn't it be awesome to design TENCEL and hemp-based garments and work with Zeeshan? So Michael, how did the project actually begin?
Well, it probably started back in 2019. The idea of working with bast fibres had been something I'd been playing around with 20 years, and I'd done blends with linen many years ago in TENCEL. And the fibres in the fabrics complement themselves so well, but aesthetically, performance-wise, and more latterly with sustainable messages. And I think that there was a groundswell of interest really catalysed by Levi coming together with Outerknown, and they did a hemp project, and suddenly every man and his dog in the denim business was trying to do something on hemp. And I think what made it easier was the idea of using this variant called Cottonized Hemp, which is a much easier product to use on short staple spinning systems and gives you a much nicer aesthetic. So 2019, I think it was in Milan at Denim PV, I went on the booth of FBL, and suddenly Zeeshan was showing me almost 20 variants of fabrics that are hemp blends with tencel and cotton. And I couldn't believe the range of fabrics, and some things weren't there, and I asked Zeeshan if he could do them, so he was kind enough actually to make me some special fabrics as well. And that kind of snowballed. Suddenly, you know, it was ENDRIME, it was MDL, it was tencel, it was Jeanologia for the finishers, it was Crayfill for the tencel. You get soy threads. It was a guy we knew who recycled denim into paper products for the hang tags. And so it's a nice theme of responsible processing running through the whole thing. And it's really to contextualise, from a selfish point of view, it's trying to contextualise how tencel can be used with other fibres and denim products.
So, quick question, just playing on mine for a second, and we can ask like Zeeshan. So, Cottonized Hemp has been around from the 80s, is that correct, Zeeshan? But it's only come into its own more recently because of the legalization in America and in Europe and in Pakistan, all in the last 2 or 3 years. So hemp, it's not a trend. This is something that's staying, right?
Thank you very much, Mohsin. It's really an honor to talk here on the Bast Recast project. Regarding your question, the cottonized hemp, yes, hemp is not a new fiber which is being used in textile. Once the inventor invent the way how we can mix a hemp with cotton. Naturally, hemp have a long staple length, which is spun in a wet spun process. So conventionally, hemp been used in a wet spun process. So cottonized hemp means that hemp which can able to spun with cotton means we have to have the staple length of the fiber. It's very similar to the cotton. So we invent. The fresh hemp people or the industry people invent how we can incorporate the hemp sustainable fiber with the cotton. So in the past 3 years, we all know hemp is coming in a very big way in the industry, and now everyone is talking about the hemp. So the Bast Recast, the idea to have the modern fiber with the natural fiber. So this is the basically diffusion of two technologies, the natural technology, the organic things, and as well as the regenerated sustainable fibers.
Thank you so much. And we were very lucky for this project. Because of COVID, it got delayed like everything else. And it actually bought us a bit more time, Michael, right? So basically, we had a little bit more extra time, and I had more time to design more pieces. As a result, the collection got really big. But our friends at Jeanologia, we only had one set to wash, so it's still a lot of work for 18 pieces. But Carme and her team, they actually did such a fantastic job washing every single piece. And you guys should all go visit both the NDL booth and the Lenzing booth, and definitely have a look at the fabrics and the washes. But Carme, this is just one example of we did each style. We did about 3 different variants of fabrics, and that means 3 different raw garments and 3 different washes as well. But this example here, it's got a rating of 10, which is awesome, right? Anything you would like to add about this kind of finish?
Well, in general terms, it's a project that we love to be involved in it because it's the kind of project that with this authenticity but also innovation from the core of the fiber and fabrics to the finish. We love to get inspired by this gold rush 19th century period to develop the washes, but also to do it in a more sustainable way and always take made. So, all the garments that you can see on the washes have a low impact EAM score. They are environmentally friendly, tech made. And the most important thing is that besides the inspiration on that period and the authentic look that we were looking for, we started and we work in a very simple way. We try to simplify the process of finishing the garment by creating different bases to get different finishes from dark to light. And then we customize it with different laser designs. So every time that we change the laser design, it it appears to have a new finish, a new garment. Then once we have all the bases, we make up the garments. And we put this kind of makeup on them using our e-flow technology by micronizing dirties and dry stuffs, but also resins, but using very low amount of chemicals on the garments, and mixing it with natural materials, natural ingredients such as charcoal or mud, these kind of things. So we have a very authentic 19th century gold rush look, but tech-made and combining the technology plus the artisanal things and ingredients, let's say.
You know, it was so inspiring. Not many designers get to design a collection that's inspired by this era. Of course, all denim workwear is inspired by this era, but when you start looking at 1860s, 1870s inspiration, you realize the silhouettes are more baggier, there's a lot more pleating, everything's more narrow, and everything's single needle stitched. And even like this shirt, for instance, has got so nice pleating on it, and it's all this amazing stuff you do on the garment. Like when you wash it with just a simple rinse, it comes alive. And I remember like Victoria, who watched this collection, she was saying that she's never used hemp before, but it was so exciting. The fabrics came alive, that's what, when I first started using hemp, for me, it was fabrics that looked like from the 1940s or something. It was unbelievable. With that tiny, the 30, or one of these fabrics here, it's using a 55% hemp on like this big, on like this one. And I know, like Zeeshan, when it comes to hemp itself, it's still quite expensive, right? There's a reason why we don't see 100% hemp garments yet, but it's just the more people use it, the price will come down for it, hopefully.
Actually, the problem is that this is a basically pricing product. The reason is that the better supply and demand. At the moment, China is our biggest supplier of hemp at the moment, and second is European hemp. So if the farmers start cultivating more hemp, and then maybe we can have a better price of hemp. And the main problem is that THC traces, which is really challenged, and the government body is also controlling the THC traces. That THC traces should be less than 0.30, and that hemp can be used in textiles. So if the more supply will be in the market, then definitely we can have a better prices.
There were about a dozen fabrics, maybe more, Michael, that we developed, right? We did quite a lot. In the end, we ended up working, we had about 9 or 10 fabrics for this collection. But then Zeeshan and his team went ahead and they developed more cost-effective ones as well. So even though this is like the dream collection, there are variants of all of these fabrics that any garment supplier or any manufacturer will be able to buy. Michael, some of these finishes, obviously, our main requirement was to develop authentic garments, right? That was the point of this collection. It was quite fun for all of us to do. But was there any part of the collection that you were really proud of at the end that turned out really well?
I don't think there is one particular thing. I think the thing that interested me about the hemp is that it reminds me of what I was facing in 1995 when I joined TENCEL. There was a lot of hype about TENCEL in those days. The price was high. There was lack of supply chains, lack of economy of scale, and I think that is the case for hemp today. And I think there's a lot of urban myths about hemp, about its environmental footprint. I think there are many things that are challenges there. But I do think, as a textile engineer myself, going down the line in 10 or 15 years, we're going to have a raw material as hemp that we can grow in the Northern Hemisphere. We can grow in the UK or Northern Europe, so we'll have a raw material on our doorstep. I don't exactly know how far north you can grow cotton. I seem to remember from my studies it was 33 degrees north or 33 degrees south of the equator is the area you could grow cotton. But I think cottonized hemp in blends with man-made cellulosics here have proven you can get something that's very close to cotton in terms of appearance, in terms of aesthetic, in terms of performance. I don't think that the cotton crop actually has grown in the last 20 years. It's always averaged about 25 million tonnes. And the competition for cotton is not really other textile fibres. It's availability of land and it's competition from arable crops. So if the availability of cotton cannot grow, today we don't really have a cost-effective alternative. But I think in 10 to 20 years' time, economy of scale with hemp, I think it's an exciting development.
It certainly is, and it's definitely brought a lot of excitement to a lot of designers, not just me, a lot of Mark Johnson, a lot of amazing, quite well-known designers have been using a lot of hemp and experimenting and getting very excited about it. This is just one example of amazing washes that Jeanologia did, and you know, this one here, let's read the wash sort of recipe. You know, E-flow, micro laser clay, so they use natural clay as well, curing. You know, I know, Carme, like Victoria had such a fun time doing this. It's one of the most. I think she enjoyed this one. It could have been like Jeremy, I know who did this wash, but so cool to look at. And if you get a chance to see them, make sure you do. And all of them have low ratings as well. But as I said, you don't get an opportunity to design like this very often. So it's a really it's an honour really to do it. And as Michael said as well, we worked with many collaborators. Obviously, Zeeshan and his team, I gave them a ridiculous list of fabrics I wanted to develop. Duck canvases, fabrics that weren't singed, you know, that really strange like requests, and they were up for the challenge. Even like 2x1 fabrics. This era, you know, you don't see many 3x1s or 2x1s that are like a 10 ounce, and they did an amazing 2x1 that we used on a shirt as well, which washed so well. Let's see if the clicker works. And this was the style that I'm wearing today. And we did a hemp leaf that had a continuous stitch, which is really, really fun. And we hand printed these with Resichrome ink from Opportuna 39. So every aspect of this collection was really considered. And you know, you don't get that. And then circle bar tags as well. The whole redesign concept as well, and making product that can be put into a landfill. Okay, this is a concept collection, but we're here to inspire other designers. You can use a circle bar tag instead, you know. And you can use buttons that can screw off. So there are many ways to do it, which is quite cool. And then yeah, so we worked with Naveena as one of our main sort of collaborators, and that was awesome. And also we worked with myself and my wife at ENDRIME, which is really cool. And Walkface, we just mentioned. So all of the cuttings from the collection, we collected them all, gave it to Duncan, and he made paper for us. And it's real, it's not like any old paper. And then we used Resichrome ink to print it, and even the cover of the book that we made uses the same paper, which is awesome. And of course our friends at Jeanologia are big friends with TENCEL for many, many years, so this collaboration goes back further. But you know, it's when you work with Jeanologia, it's really you can actually relax like a little bit. Look, you know, they've got such a great archive as well, right? Huge archive, and I was not at all concerned. They were really up for the challenge of being very authentic to this period. It was awesome. And I think they probably enjoyed it as well, right?
No, yeah, in fact for us, heritage and vintage is the core of denim, and we learn every day from that. I mean, we need to understand how the denim fades naturally, and then take this as a way to make new laser designs, and also a way to create this industry of finishing that we are working in, and trying to make it more innovative and sustainable. I would like to also add something is that before starting the collection, we tested all the fabrics. We always make a test before developing anything, because it's the way that we have to know the performance of the materials that we were using. In fact, we did the licensed fabric test on Naveena's fabric, and most of them were highly sensitive fabrics. That means that helped us to make these kind of finishes, because the performance of the fabrics allow us to use eco technologies and to get any finish that that we want. So this is why it is important to test everything in advance. Not because it's going to determine if it's good or bad. It's mainly because guide you as a designer and as a denim developer in how we can use the eco-technologies to be able to reproduce a sustainable tech-made finish. Right?
You know, it's true.
No, I was just going to say, I have to applaud Jeanologia. I mean, we gave them some fabric scraps to do some initial washes on, but they had one shot on the garment.
One set.
I mean, normally we'd have 4 or 5 prototypes easily, wouldn't we? And it was just one shot. So, I mean, they've got vast experience in this area, and I really applaud what they did on it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And then we work with like Crayfield, and that's sort of Victor and Crayfield is actually here with us. So you should go definitely meet him, say like below. But they developed, I think, one of the world's first TENCEL threads, and we used a range of text 30, 60, 90, and 105. I used that throughout the entire collection, and it behaved extremely well. I had no issues with it, so that was an awesome thing. And then that's the thing. I wanted to move away from polyester. This was my chance to try make a collection that had no polyester in it. And I think we did it, which is a shock for me. But even down to the thread. But anyway, definitely think about these kinds of things because it makes a big difference. And then offers you the 39 with the Resichrome ink. They were very excited that we would do it. This is the first time that they used it in this way as well, not on a garment. So they were quite excited about that. But yeah, so we use TENCEL lyocell. We also use a reverb. We use organic cotton, and of course we use the Cottonized Hemp. So anyway, the project was just awesome. But how long have we got? We're just on time. 5 minutes left. Anything you would like to add? Anything you'd like to add, guys?
Yeah, I would like to add one point here. The project, as Michael explained, the inspiration we got from the Levi's in the 1950s. And while the material selection of material, the designing, and the spinning process, and we finished the fabric, and the trims and accessories, all the focus was sustainability. So the main challenge was to develop this collection. We have to achieve, and we want to achieve the look which that time of 1860s. With that time, we all know there was no technology. The fabric was like uneven, irregular, and very natural, and very natural imperfection in the fabric. So this was a challenge to achieve that kind of look, as well as the sustainability.
It was a real honour to do it. Definitely go and visit the booths of both NDL and Lenzing if you're here for the rest of today. Anyone got any questions before we wrap up? Probably not. But it's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully we can do another project together. So thank you very, very much for your time.